Welcome to our Communiversity today, sponsored by Pendleton Community Bank and Cucumber and Company, a community affairs program from West Virginia Institute of Technology in Beckley, hosted by Dr. T. Ramon Stewart, president of West Virginia University Institute of Technology, working to make a difference in Southern West Virginia. Guest opinions expressed on this program may not represent the opinions of West Virginia University Institute of Technology, Southern Communications, or its sponsors. And now, with today's program, here's Dr. Stewart.
Welcome to our Communiversity today. I'm Dr. Ramon Stewart, president of WVU Tech here in Beckley, and I'm thankful that you chose to be with us today as we explore our Communiversity. I like to remind our listeners that I believe that the community is the university and the university is the community. And I believe when we come together and work in unity, there is an opportunity for us to not only do better, but more importantly, be better. And that requires various people coming to the table. And that's why I always like to engage with some of our local leaders. And today I have the opportunity of engaging with the mayor of Beckley, none other than the Honorable Ryan Neal, who's going to talk to us about his role as the mayor now that the City of Beckley has a city manager. And when we look at that particular process, we want to know some of the highs, we want to know some of the opportunities, but most importantly, we want to hear his vision for moving Beckley forward. And with that in mind, as always on our Communiversity today, we try to ask and answer two questions or make you think about them. And that's simply, why not us and why not now? So, ladies and gentlemen, as we explore more about the new government in the City of Beckley, I ask that you tune in to News Talk WWNR for more Our Communiversity today, right after this break.
Bank with Purpose and Golden Bear Pride at Pendleton Community Bank. Our WVU Tech Affinity debit card does more than make purchases. It makes a difference. Every swipe supports the William Bill Benn Student Success Fund, helping WVU Tech students facing financial hardships stay on track to achieve their dreams. Show your school spirit and help shape the future, one transaction at a time. Visit yourbank.bank to get started today. Pendleton Community Bank, here for students, here for community, here for you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Discover WVU Tech right in your backyard. With 6 ABET accredited engineering programs ranked among the top 100 for engineering and nursing nationwide, WVU Tech offers the best return on investment in West Virginia. Our small, supportive campus is home to high-demand programs in fields like hospitality and culinary, chemical forensics, and the only 4-year construction management degree in West Virginia. Learn more about all the exciting things happening at Tech at wvutech.edu today.
If you want a real cool website, I'll tell you what to do. Call them cats at Cucumber and they'll build a site for you. Our people are so friendly and our updates are the fastest. All it's gonna cost $100 plus taxes.
These cats build, host, and update for just $100 a month.
Oh yeah!
Find out how at 304-250-0123 or at cucumberandcompany.com.
Welcome back to our Communiversity today. Again, we are visiting with Ryan Neal, who is serving as the mayor of Beckley, West Virginia, to discuss his role as mayor. Mayor Neal, how are you today?
I'm doing very well. Very good. Thank you for having me today.
Excellent. So good to have you in studio. We tried to do this a little bit before, and then we got a hiccup. So I'm glad that you're here today. And I say this to my listeners every week. I love when our guests have that huge smile on their face, and you got that right now. So, Mayor Neal, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I grew up here. I graduated from Woodrow Wilson in 1990, went to West Virginia University, graduated in 1995, moved back here. I had a few different jobs. I actually worked in television, newspaper, and media sales and enjoyed that. But then I moved to Roanoke, Virginia for about 13 or 14 years, moved back to Beckley back in 2014. My brother and a couple of my friends of mine started some beef jerky outlet franchises, and we thought we'd do 1 or 2, ended up owning 8 of them. We opened 4 in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, so we were busy doing that for the past 11 years, and We sold out of the ones in Myrtle Beach, looking for something else to do. I had the one franchise, the Beef Jerky Outlet on Harper Road in Beckley, for a while, sold it, and just decided what to do. And I was like, I knew Mayor Rob Rappold, who's a friend of mine, was not going to run again. So I talked to some friends of mine, and they kind of convinced me to run for mayor. So that's where I'm at.
So, and I want to talk more, obviously, about you, not only you running for mayor, but being mayor. But you talked about having graduated and then leaving the state and coming back. Unfortunately, I believe our top export is not coal. I think it's our people, especially our educated people, our entrepreneurial people like yourself. What really brought you back?
Just the opportunity to move back to Beckley. I love living in Roanoke. I still go to Roanoke every now and then. I've got great friends I go on golf trips with. A mix of guys from Beckley, a lot of guys from Roanoke, Virginia. But just the business I worked for 14 years got bought out in Roanoke, and I just felt like it was a good time to move back to Beckley. Beckley's home. I'm a proud Mountaineer. Love the state. One of the biggest. I take more pride in being from West Virginia than most people, and just the opportunity to move back. So I took it. And it really was to open up those franchises too. So we'd been talking about that, and it just seemed like a good time to move back.
Okay. And so, you have had experience with signing the front of people's paychecks. What is that experience like? People think that if you own your own business, you make all this money and you got it made and you stick it to the man. So you hear that a lot. And let me tell you, when you own your own business, it really owns you. It's 7 days a week, 365. I mean, there's constant. You do reap the rewards when your businesses do good, but then you also have to survive the tough times. COVID was obviously very difficult. Where we went months without making a paycheck, months. Then you deal with employees. One of my favorite things is at times at Myrtle Beach, we'd have 50, 60 employees down at Myrtle Beach. And one of my favorite things was to mentor the young people that would come in. You'd start them at $10, $11 an hour. Some of them were still in high school or starting college, and you got a chance to really kind of help shape their lives. And get them to understand that, if you do the bare minimum, you're always going to be making $9 or $10 an hour. If you apply yourself and you do good, I'll tell them all, you're an independent operator. You may come in and work for us for 8 hours a day, but at any time, you never know when somebody's going to come to the store and say, hey, listen, I like your attitude. I like your work ethic. Why don't you come and work with me? I'm going to give you way more money. And it happened all the time. And that to me was one of the most satisfying things of being a business owner. Yeah, never know where your next blessing is.
Sure.
And I think with that in mind, you go from being a serial entrepreneur to becoming a politician. And I know you talked about Mayor Rappold deciding he's not going to run again, but that's a substantial leap from entrepreneurship to politician, don't you believe?
Oh, Dr. Stewart, if you'd have told me 2 months before the deadline to put your name in the hat, to actually file to run, I'd have been like, I have no interest. It wouldn't even something I'd ever considered. But then, you and people ask why I do it. I'll tell you the reason I did want to do it. I don't like meetings. I don't like public speak. I'm like most people. I'm scared to death to speak in public, although I've gotten a little bit more used to it. So it's definitely not those, but the fact that I love being from Beckley and I'm proud to be from Beckley, and I just want to be on the front line working with people that want to make our city better.
Again, to our listeners, if you can see what I see in studio, I see a man beaming with pride about his city, and I think that's so spectacular. But now, speaking of becoming mayor, you are very, very unique in the history of the city of Beckley. I think it was the Common Council back in January of 2024. They cast a vote that actually moved from, the mayor overseeing all aspects of the city to implementing a city manager. So when you ran for mayor, the seat that you wound up assuming changed a little bit.
Yeah, you're right. The previous council had voted 4-3 to change it to a city manager format, but there were still lawsuits pending. I still heard that it could change, that it could get thrown out, that it should be something that the public, the people in Beckley should be able to vote if they want that change. But I was good either way. I was like, I'll accept whatever happens. I was excited. When I first started running and was putting my signs up, I mean, friends of mine, people I hadn't talked to in years I get text messages. Please tell me there's 2 Ryan Neals that live in Beckley, West Virginia. Like, people couldn't believe it. I still would wake up some mornings and be like, am I really running for mayor of Beckley? But each week that I got out and talked to people and people encouraged me, and I'd get feedback from different people that, my confidence really got a lot. But I went from thinking like, well, I'll run, but I'm sure I'm not going to win. By 2 weeks or a week before, I was pretty confident. I just was. I've talked to so many people and was getting so much positive feedback, and that was a great feeling. I'm not going to lie to you. It was one of the most amazing feelings ever. Is when I was getting calls from the courthouse from a few different people or text messages, and I had people gathered at my house just kind of watching TV and listening in, waiting to see what happens, and they're calling me and they're like, hey, you need to come up here to the courthouse right now. You're going to be the next mayor of Beckley. And there's just something exciting about that. It was a great feeling.
Again, I cannot stop commenting on just the joy that you have. I mean, I hate that our listeners cannot see us too, because, one of the things that I always say, and you talked about mentoring young people in your various business, it's nothing like a person that loves their job. I don't care whether it's from sweeping floors to being the CEO. If you love your job, you can do it extremely well. And when you do your job extremely well, you make other people around you better. So hats off for loving what you do. But now when you think about loving what you do, and you think about running, and you think about running to the courthouse, and you got elected, what was your first thought once you got elected?
Just proud, just humbled that people would elect me, and it was just a proud moment. It was a proud moment for myself, my family. I have my parents that still live here in Beckley. I've got 2 brothers that both graduated from W. One lives in Charlotte, one lives out in Daniels, out in Glade Springs, and just the. I told each one of them when I got off the phone with them that night, I said, our family name won. I mean, my parents have been in this community. I can't hardly go anywhere without somebody mention, hey, how's your mom and dad? Very active with First Baptist Church, just good reputation, great people. And, it was just a proud moment for our family. So it was joy. It was joy. But then it was scary. Then it was like, oh gosh, I've only attended a few council meetings, and that's just right before the election.
And I want
to figure out what to do.
And I want to talk about that a little bit more. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short break. So stay tuned to News Talk WWNR for more Our Communiversity Today.
Discover WVU Tech right in your backyard. With 6 ABET accredited engineering programs ranked among the top 100 for engineering and nursing nationwide, WVU Tech offers the best return on investment in West Virginia. Our small, supportive campus is home to high-demand programs in fields like hospitality and culinary, chemical forensics, and the only 4-year construction management degree in West Virginia. Learn more about all the exciting things happening at Tech at wvutech.edu today.
If you want a real cool website, I'll tell you what to do. Call them cats at Cucumber and they'll build a site for you. Our people are so friendly and our updates are the fastest. All it's gonna cost $100 plus taxes.
These cats build, host, and update for just $100 a month.
Oh yeah!
Find out how at 304-250-0123 or at cucumberandcompany.com.
Bank with purpose and Golden Bear pride. At Pendleton Community Bank, our WVU Tech Affinity debit card does more than make purchases. It makes a difference. Every swipe supports the William Bill Benn Student Success Fund, helping WVU Tech students facing financial hardships stay on track to achieve their dreams. Show your school spirit and help shape the future, one transaction at a time. Visit yourbank.bank to get started today. Pendleton Community Bank, here for students, here for community, here for you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Welcome back to our Communiversity today. Again, I'm visiting with Mayor Ryan Neal, who serves as the mayor of Beckley, West Virginia. And we're talking about his role as mayor now that city manager is introduced. And right before break, Mayor, we were talking about how you felt once you got that call, the joy you had, the humility, the weight that you had on your shoulders, carrying your family's name forward. But I got to say, now that you got what you want, do you want what you got?
What a great question, Dr. Stewart. It's a lot. It's frustrating at times. Let's go back to what I was saying about being a business owner and mentoring. You know, when you're your business owner and you can make decisions and immediately take effect, it is completely different at government. You have good ideas. Some council members have good ideas, or I get somebody in the public that's like, "Hey, Ryan, why don't you all do this?" I'm like, "What a great idea!" Guess what? It may be 2 or 3 months before we even talk about it in council meetings. It is such a slow process. So to me, that's the hard part. That's the frustrating part. Is there's good ideas. You've got great people in this community that have wonderful ideas that want to see this one little change or this be done different. But it is slow moving.
So in other words, everybody has a better idea than the mayor's idea.
I tell people all the time, I don't like complaints, but if you got a complaint, tell me your solution. I said that Tuesday night at the council meeting. The lady got up and had a complaint, and that's not that happens all the time. But I thanked her for offering a reasonable and sensible and good solution. And I told her how rare that was. And I will listen to anybody. And I think that's what you have to do in this position. You know, you have to listen to people. It's easy to get up and talk and say what I think's right, or we need to do X and quit doing Y and do Z and everything else. But, you know, one of the things I've had to really work hard at is just listening to people. Mm-hmm. And I, of course, I get people that call me, text me, email, hit Facebook, you know, you name it, of people that's like, "Hey, I hate where this is going on this street," or "Can you do something?" or "Why can't the police do this?" or, you know, and it's easy to just say, "Hey, listen, I'm turning this off. We're doing the best we can," but you can't do that. You cannot do that. And one other thing I'll say about our council members, I love all 7 of them. I think they do a great job. We don't agree on everything, but they are all willing to listen to the public. So
so let's follow that line a little bit about council. You know, you got 7, I think. Mm-hmm. It's 5 wards and 2 at-large members. But one of the roles that you have as the mayor is you preside over city council meetings. Tell me what goes into those meetings in terms of getting prepared for the meeting, but then also executing the agenda.
So I'm going to tell you a real quick story. So, again, I'd only been to a couple council meetings and watched Rob Rappold run it, and I'd listen to city council go back and forth and bicker a little bit. And
you mean you didn't know what Robert's Rules of Orders was?
I've read it twice. I forget who bought. I think my dad bought it for me. He's like, "You need to read this." So I did read it twice. So I was supposed to practice. Bill Fowle and Billy Trump said, "Listen, we'll ask them, can we do like a trial council meeting for my first one?" Well, we were supposed to do it 2 days before, and then it got canceled. And then the day before, and then finally they're just like, "You know what? Just wing the first one, and if it's terrible, we'll practice for the next one." So that's how I got thrown into it. But the main thing of running this council meeting, because it can get out of hand. It can. You got people in the public that sometimes want to speak, and you know, again, I'm not the strongest public speaker in the world, but you've got to be in charge. And there's you know, it's almost like the adult with a child. If you back down just a little bit, they're going to run over you. Or almost like being a school teacher or a substitute teacher. The class is there, and they're ready to get away. But you do run the meetings. You never know what council members are going to vote. You never know what they're going to say. But you just have to be prepared for everything. I go over the agenda every day. We kind of go over it with either Phil Jarrell or I go with Susan, our administrative assistant, and she's great at kind of bouncing things off of me or what may happen or something like that. So it is a little bit of a rehearsal for it. But the more I've done it, been mayor for almost 2 years now, I've gotten pretty used to the format and trying to keep things moving. One of the biggest things you have to do is stay on topic. It can easily people go down rabbit holes.
You mean people like to wander off topic,
Imagine that. And you start going down rabbit holes, it's not on the agenda, and you have to keep people focused. But again, I think the council members have done a great job. Our last council meeting, for instance, one of the biggest thing on it was and we've been working on this for 8 months, the opioid distribution. And I thought this council meeting, I thought it might take 2 hours, and the council members did a great job. We had a committee with a few people from our community that kind of recommended, and it went so smooth that I was so happy last night after it was over because it went a lot smoother and went a lot quicker than what you thought. But you have to keep the meeting going, and you have to keep people on topic.
Yeah, and talking about smooth, there was a lot of left, some people to the left of this topic, some people to the right, others in the middle as it relates to city manager, mayor, that kind of stuff. But obviously the vote was the vote. This is where we are. And you talk about being smooth, and I'm just a casual observer. Mm-hmm. And I work a lot with you, work a lot with the city manager, even with various members of the council, because again, Communiversity could not be a reality without the community, the Beckley and surrounding areas. So what have you done to make that process of working? You talked a little bit about working with council, but the process of working with the city manager, what have you done to make that a smooth process?
So I think that Mr. Jarrell has an extremely tough job. He stepped in from day one and just pretty much got thrown into it because the last city manager didn't work out. He does all the frontline work. It's easy for me and even for council members to say, hey, listen, Mr. Jarrell, this is what I heard from business owner XYZ. Can we make this happen? I get those phone calls all the time or concerned citizens. But the city manager is the one that actually goes and gets the work done. It's almost like we're kind of like the colonel or something like that, or the major, and he's the sergeant. He's the one that works for a living. He's the one that actually gets it from point A to point B. I think, again, 8 months may seem like a long time for the opioid distribution, but, we did the due diligence, and I think at the end of the day, it took longer than what people thought. But he did a great job, and that was a lot of work, and I'm sure it's a load off his shoulders for that. But my job basically is to listen to the community, go to community events, run the city council meetings, go speak. You had me, and I appreciate it. That was the second, at the time, it was the largest crowd I ever spoke in front of. It was orientation here at W Tech, and it was fun listening to the other speakers. You hope you don't bore the students to death, so you try to keep it short. And you hope you say a few things that they remember. But it was such an honor for me to be there. And so that's what I do pretty much.
I tell people all the time when I'm invited out to speak, I tell them all the time that the best way to gauge a speech is to minimize the time between when you stand up and you sit down. And as long as it's relatively short, somebody will clap one way or the other, okay? They might be clapping you down or they might be happy that you're going. But you talked about that engaging with the public, and you talk about speaking, and you've been in this role a year and 10 months or so. Tell me 2 or 3 of your most memorable moments as mayor.
The one that comes to mind is when we were at max occupancy for the Pinecrest development, about us wanting to transfer to the county. And basically it's because the city didn't have the money to do the infrastructure. So what are we going to do? Just sit on it? You can't sell it off. You can't, the best thing to do is give it to the county. They had money left over, and we had a lot of people that opposed it, council members, and kind of, I wouldn't say argue, but it was the biggest decision and most eventful, and most, people on this side say this, people on this side say that, and the place was packed. You had kids from the cross country that would come up and say, hey, you're giving our track away and things like that. And it was super difficult. We passed it, ended up giving it to the county, and you hope it was the right decision, but I still question it every day. But to me, that was my first year, and it was, you talk about, there was like 100, 120 people in the council chamber standing, like watching, waiting, and so it was a little nerve-wracking. And again, the council members, we didn't agree. I didn't agree with some of them, but at the end of the day, we all respect each other, and that was a proud moment. I hope we made the right decision, but that's one big one. Just engaging with the community. You brought up before we spoke about speaking at the Kappa Alpha Psi, had their province council here at the Armory, and there was like 500-600 people from as far away as California that were here, and Beckley got to host it. So imagine that for the hotels. Imagine that for our economy. I know they were at Glade Springs. You and I saw some of them golfing earlier that day.
It was messing up our golf game.
Yeah. So it was a proud moment to go and speak in front of those and welcome them to our community. And I told them we're just super humble that you chose Beckley, West Virginia to host this year. So those are some memorable moments.
Again, when you look at those moments and you just think about you being that welcoming face to come to Beckley. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we're in studio with Mayor Ryan Neal, who is the mayor of Beckley, West Virginia. We're going to take a short break, so stick with News Talk WWNR as we close out this edition of our Communiversity Today.
Discover WVU Tech right in your backyard. With 6 ABET accredited engineering programs ranked among the top 100 for engineering and nursing nationwide, WVU Tech offers the best return on investment in West Virginia. Our small, supportive campus is home to high-demand programs in fields like hospitality and culinary, chemical forensics, and the only 4-year construction management degree in West Virginia. Learn more about all the exciting things happening at Tech at wvutech.edu today.
If you want a real cool website, I'll tell you what to do. Call them cats at Cucumber and they'll build a site for you. Our people are so friendly and our updates are the fastest. All it's gonna cost $100 plus taxes.
These cats build, host, and update for just $100 a month.
Oh yeah!
Find out how at 304-250-0123 or at cucumberandcompany.com.
Bank with purpose and Golden Bear pride at Pendleton Community Bank. Our WVU Tech Affinity debit card does more than make purchases. It makes a difference. Every swipe supports the William Bill Benn Student Success Fund, helping WVU Tech students facing financial hardships stay on track to achieve their dreams. Show your school spirit and help shape the future, one transaction at a time. Visit yourbank.bank to get started today. Pendleton Community Bank, here for students, here for community, here for you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Welcome back to our Communiversity Today. Again, I want to thank our guest, Ryan Neal, who serves as the mayor of Beckley, for not only sharing his time, but also his talent and compassion with our listeners. I talk about compassion because I think it's so essential, because when you believe, you can achieve. And when I look at Mayor Neal, thinking about the new role that he's taken on, thinking about the role that requires him to be a facilitator, a bridge builder, not only for those here in the city, but beyond. I think this is so important because when I talk about our Communiversity, the city of Beckley is at the cornerstone. And as we approach our 10-year anniversary here in this city, it is great to know that we have a mayor, we have a city council, we have a city manager who is committed to not only doing better, but most importantly, being better. And I, ladies and gentlemen, believe that that is essential for the growth of Beckley, Raleigh County, and throughout Southern West Virginia. So if you'd like to know more about Mayor Neal or the city of Beckley, please visit wwnrradio.com for additional information and how you can help build our Communiversity today for a brighter Southern West Virginia tomorrow.
You've been listening to Our Communiversity Today, sponsored by Pendleton Community Bank and Cucumber and Company, a production of West Virginia University Institute of Technology and Communiversity partner, Southern Communications in Beckley. For more on this program and contact information, visit our website at wwnrradio.com.